ready to get started? You know I'm ready. Anytime you're ready, I'm ready. Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Classic Gamer 74. The arcade is now open. I said the arcade is now open. Smitty, that means you turn the lights on. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. That's better. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer. And I'm Smitty the Chinese-American Dragon. Yeah. And today we're going to be discussing games based on comic strips. Smitty? Yeah? What about us? Oh, sorry about that. There we are. That's better. Comic strips have been part of our world since as far back as probably most people can remember. Yeah, it goes back to even the days of the ancient Egyptians, with them funny pictures they used to put on, the walls of the pyramids and all them other places. Those were hieroglyphics, and that was their form of writing. Okay, but still, it kind of tells the same story, you know what I'm saying? Right. When newspapers first became a thing, political cartoons were probably the first comic strips, even though they were not meant for children. However, as time went on, more and more comics would take shape and would become part of newspapers. Even today, as newspapers have gone digital, comic strips are still a part of them. And as time has gone on, a lot of these famous comic strips have gone beyond just the pages and have become cultural icons through different forms of media, whether they are TV shows, movies, other types of merchandise. And then there are some that just pretty much stayed on the page. That's correct. Today we're going to discuss some of these famous comic strips that were made into games. And we're actually going to have a game based on the longest running comic strip worldwide. So that's today's trivia question. What is the name of the longest running comic strip in the world to date? You think you know the answer? Wait till the end of the video and see if you're correct. So, without further ado, let's get into the games. Are you ready? I'm sure I'm ready whenever you're ready, Anthony. All right, let's get started then. And our first game for today is Handicapped the Game. Now, Handicapped is a character based on a British comic strip, He is a working-class figure who never actually works, living in Hartspool, a harbour town in County Durham, in northeast England. All right, in this one, Andy is pretty much a bum. He enjoys pigeon racing, darts, snooker, playing football, which always involves fights with other players and frequently ends with Andy being set off, occasional cricket and rugby, betting on horses and usually losing, getting drunk in the pub, falling into the canal and being fished out by a constable, and usually arriving home as a result. And his long-suffering wife, Flo, or Flory, is the one who keeps trying to get him to work, and she often serves him burnt food. In this particular game, you take on the role of Mr. Handicapped, and you are going around trying to borrow money to replenish his alcohol supply and avoid fights with his wife Flo and the police. The comic strip itself is not really well known in the United States. Mostly in America, we know Handicapped as the mascot for a line of snack food, that being Handicapped's Fries. Was there any other kind of things made for this? Well, they did try to make a sitcom in 1988. James Bolam played Handicapped, but I think it only ran for about 6 episodes, and it really wasn't a big hit. So I think they should have just pretty much stuck with the comic strip and the fries. Although this game itself is really a whole lot of fun, although not exactly something I think that would fly in today's more sensitive times. And next up, we have BC's Quest for Tires. This game was released for the ColecoVision, which is kind of cool that we're mentioning this now because we're going to be starting our unit on the ColecoVision soon. Anyway, in this game, you are trying to rescue Grog's girlfriend and you are riding on this unicycle of sorts. Now, BC is an American comic strip created by cartoonist Johnny Hart. It's set in prehistoric times, and it features a group of cavemen and anthropomorphic animals from various geological eras. As far as I know, the comic is still running today, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
It's really kind of a cool series. It really hasn't gotten TV shows or a lot of things like that, although the characters have been mascots for various different businesses throughout the years. And this game itself is really a whole lot of fun, and it had a sequel a few years later. I think it's only fair if I do the next one.
Well, I agree.
After all, I am the Sega enthusiast here on this channel.
You sure are.
Alright, now, next up we have Garfield Caught in the Act for the Sega Genesis, or for those of you outside the United States, the Mega Drive. Garfield is an American comic strip created by Jim Davis, who is from Indiana, the same state as our good friend here, Anthony Gamer. Originally published as John in 1976, it gained nationwide syndication in 1978 as Garfield, and it chronicles the life of Garfield the cat, his owner, John Arbuckle, and Odie the dog. As of 2013, it is syndicated in roughly 2,580 newspapers and journals, and held the Guinness World Record for being the world's most widely syndicated comic strip. Now, in this game, our wonderful, lazy, fat cat friend Garfield accidentally broke the TV somehow, and when he tries to fix it, he gets sucked into a TV world, and he has to try to find his way to escape. It's your typical platformer game from the 90s, and it's really a whole lot of fun. And like most games on the Genesis, and like any Sega game, oh brother, the game is quite challenging, and will have you coming back again and again to play over and over again.
The next game we're going to discuss is Snoopy Concert, and this was released for the Super Famicom. Now, I know in the past I have discussed Peanuts games and actually had a whole episode based on them. And like some of the other subjects in today's episode, we're trying to show games that I haven't shown before. I always try to keep it new and fresh on this channel, so that's why I'm discussing this game. Now, of course, as this was released for the Super Famicom, it was not released in the United States. Luckily, I was able to locate a patch, so this game can be fully enjoyed in English. So if you get a chance to check this out and you're a big Peanuts fan, I highly recommend it. Of course, you know Peanuts were created by Charles M. Schulz in 1950 and ran up into and close to his death, and went on for a little while after that. There have been TV shows, movies, books, toys, advertisements, you name it. Snoopy and the Peanuts gang have been featured on just about everything. Now, in this game, you are taking on the role of Snoopy, or Joe Cool, and you are trying to help the other members of the Peanuts gang with some different types of adventures, or with helping them to get something accomplished. In this one I'm showing, you're helping Linus give a flower to a girl that he likes in class. It's a pretty cool game as you're taking on the role of Woodstock and you're trying to help Snoopy to get these tasks accomplished. It is a pretty challenging game, but I tell you, it's a whole lot of fun. So, if you get a chance to play this one, I highly recommend it. But you do need the English patch, so make sure that you look for that online. And next up, the answer to today's trivia question. What is the longest running comic series? And that is Asterix. And that brings us to this next game that is called Asterix and Obelix XXL2 Lost Vegum. Now, this game was released for the PS4, and I tell you, it is a lot of fun. And also in a previous episode, I had discussed several games based on the comic strip Asterix. And this is one that wasn't mentioned, although clips from this game were used in an earlier episode, not really an episode, a music video I created set to the song Born to Raise Hell by Motorhead. Alright, if you're not familiar with the series Asterix, which isn't a surprise because it's actually a pretty big phenomenon just about everywhere else in the world, except for America for some reason.
I never quite figured that one out.
Yeah, but I think if the word gets spread, maybe Asterix will develop a following here in the States. I mean, there is going to be a Netflix series next year, so hopefully that'll help. Anyway, the series follows the adventures of a village of Gauls as they resist Roman occupation in 50 BC. They do so by using a magic potion created by their druid Getafix, which temporarily gives the recipient superhuman strength. The protagonist, the title character Asterix, and his friend Obelix have various adventures. So in this particular adventure, Getafix, the village druid, has allegedly stabbed a bunch of the other druids in the back and had them imprisoned in Rome. So Asterix and Obelix are sent to Rome to try to figure out what's going on, prove Getafix innocent, rescue the other druids, and as usual, do what they do best, beat the holy crap out of Romans. So this is a pretty much adventure beat-em-up game. Yeah, you're going around solving puzzles and really cool stuff like that, but hey, it's Asterix, so you're going around beating the crap out of a bunch of Roman soldiers. So, really a lot of fun. You don't have to be an Asterix fan in order to appreciate this game, but by the end of it, you will be.
And next up we have Smurf, Rescue in Garfield Castle for the ColecoVision.
That's correct. Now, Smurfs were created by the Belgian artist Peo in 1958 and became a comic series. A couple decades later, and Smurfs became a worldwide phenomenon, thanks in part to the TV series that came out in the 80s. After that, of course, Smurfs became a worldwide phenomenon. You had the toys, the small little collectibles that people pretty much lost their minds over. You had them on cereal, you had backpacks, shirts, toys, you name it, Smurfs were pretty much put on an item. Very, very smart marketing, I must say. But one thing about the Smurfs that I always will remember are the games. I did make a hack of the 2600 version of this game and made it about Moomin, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, in this game you take on the role of an unnamed Smurf. Most people think it's Hefty, and you're trying to rescue Smurfette from the evil Gargamel's castle. I got your mix a little talked up there. Yep. This game is a whole lot of fun. You're looking at the ColecoVision version. There was supposed to be one for the Intellivision, but it never got released. Now, Smurfs did make other games that would come out for other game systems, but another one that's quite interesting is the Smurf Saves the Day that was made for the Atari 2600 with the KidVid system. It was an edutainment game. Another one with that was the Berenstain Bears, which we will discuss in a later episode. Next up, we have Popeye. Now, I discussed the Popeye arcade game way back in one of my earliest videos. Now, Popeye actually started off life in a comic strip called Thimble Theater that was created by L.Z. Segar, and his first appearance was on January 17, 1929. Now, the series had actually been going on for 10 years before Popeye made his appearance. Now, the comic strip is still going to this day. However, a lot of the ones today for many years have actually been reprints of the old ones. So you can't really say that it's still ongoing like Asterix, as Asterix still has writers coming up with new material. Regardless, Popeye has become a worldwide phenomenon thanks again to the Fleischer cartoons that came in the 1930s. And still going, and there have been series since then. Live-action movies starring Robin Williams. There have been dolls, toys, other comics, tons of cartoon series. And there was supposed to be a movie a couple years ago, but instead of making that, they decided to make the Emoji Movie, which was a brilliant idea, I tell you. Anyway, in this Game Boy game, you take on the role of Popeye, and in this maze game, you are trying to rescue Olive and pick up items along the way. But keep your eyes out for Bluto and for J. Willington Wimpy, who is being a hindrance, although he doesn't mean to, because, he has only one thing on his mind, and that is where to get his next hamburger. So, if you're a Popeye fan, you're going to enjoy this game, although, honestly, if you're not a Popeye fan, I don't really think you'll care for it. It's not the greatest Popeye game ever made, and we know what that one was. That was the arcade one. But as I'm trying to put new games into these videos, I decided to go with this one. In a later episode, I will discuss some of the other not so well-known Popeye games that have been made throughout the years. And next up we have Spy vs. Spy. This game is based on a comic strip that was featured in Mad Magazine. You have these two spies, and they are trying to off each other. And in this game, you are trying to get some secret plans out of this country. You're in a building here, and there are several documents and things you have to get, and then get out of there. However, if that was all, it wouldn't be much of a game. So the other spy is trying to do the same thing, and he's trying to stop you. And how do they stop each other? Well, with booby traps, just like they did in the comic strip. It's a really fun game. For the most part, it was a computer game only. Started out that way, as you would find it on the various computers of the day, such as Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, PC, MS-DOS. You get it. However, it was released for the NES in the 80s, which you're looking at here. Overall, the games themselves pretty much are the same. They're a whole lot of fun, and it's actually a lot more fun to play this with two-player than with one person, because what is more fun than having your friend step into a booby trap? And our final game for today is Our House. This is based on the comic strip The Family Circus, and this game was released for Windows 95. Family Circus is a syndicated comic strip created by Bill Keane, and it began in 1960, and it's based on Bill's family. He was a father of 5. And in this series, you have the parents, Thel and Bill, and their 4 children, Billy, Dolly, Jeffy, and the baby PJ, along with their 2 dogs, Barfy and Sammy, and their cat, Kitty Cat. What set Family Circus apart from other comic strips of that time and since is that it usually only had one frame. That's correct. It would have like a circle, and they would have everything done in that one frame, as to where like other comics would have several. Generally, the daily ones would only have the one frame, and that would be it. However, that little frame would usually tell a great story, as Bill Keane was an amazing artist. The detail and the backgrounds he did were just one of a kind. Unfortunately, Bill passed away in 2011, and since then his son Jeff has continued on with the series. It actually is featured in 1,500 newspapers worldwide, and they have made compilations, books, with some of these daily comics, and they have sold over 13 million copies. One other thing that kind of sets the Family Circus apart from other comic series is the fact that they didn't really branch out into other areas. Like, there were only, as far as I can recall, 2 holiday specials, a Christmas one and a Valentine's Day one. There weren't toys. They didn't have like record albums. They didn't have the kids on the back of backpacks and things like that. There wasn't ongoing TV series or movies. And I really believe that was, Bill's idea. I think he wanted to keep it simple. And the only foray that I know of, and of course I've done lots of research, into the gaming world was this one. And this game was only made one time. But it's a really great edutainment game. In this game, you are doing research on household items around the house. Now, for instance, you will be in the kitchen and you will click on something like the toaster, and you will find out what the toaster, how it works in today's world, maybe look into the future, and then you'll find out about toasting bread in the time period of the parents, Bill and Thel, which they grew up in the 50s, and then Grandma and Granddad in their time, and then at the time of Lincoln, and at the time of George Washington.
So basically, you go around the house and you learn about the history of things found around the house.
Exactly. And then they talk about how things may change in the future. And believe it or not, they really were spot on with a lot of their predictions of what things would be like telephones and TVs in the future. It's a great little time capsule, especially for people around my age that were kids in the 80s and 90s. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And it'll be a fun game to share with your kids, grandkids, or the other children in your life. One word of caution, though, unfortunately, this game doesn't work on modern computers. I've tried and tried, and unless you know how to emulate Windows 95 games on Windows 10. But the only way you're going to be able to try this game out is if you have an older computer like I do. There's got to be a way to do it. So if you know how, please let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, this is a great edutainment game that I think the whole family will enjoy. In our next episode, we will begin our unit officially on the ColecoVision, as we will discuss the ColecoVision itself, plus some of those rare and valuable games that were made for that game system. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload new episodes. And please visit me and connect with me on all my social media platforms. You'll find those links and more in the description below. The best place to find me if you'd like to discuss things with me is on the Atari Age forum, so look for me on there using the name Classic Gamer 74. Well, until next time, this has been Anthony Gamer,
and I'm Smitty the Chinese-American Dragon,
wishing you guys a great week. Until next time, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. Until then, the arcade is closed. See you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.